Strength in the U.S. economy helps everybody. It helps the world grow. It's a big consumer of global goods, so there's nothing wrong with the U.S. growing, and we should all like that. And with respect to India, we're all optimistic about the new government. The growth rate looks fine, and we think that there's going to be plenty of room for companies like ours and others to grow.
You're not the only one. The entire world believes that a good, robust growth in the U.S. economy is good for everybody across the world. Let me ask you a question. You've been a veteran of sorts as far as industry is concerned. Is U.S. now the single engine of growth that it once used to be?
No, I don't think it's the single engine of growth. I think it's an important engine of growth. I think China, even with growth rates in the low 7% range, is a hugely important engine of growth. It's the world's second largest economy. I think for us, the Middle East, now that's multiple countries, obviously, was our strongest region last year. So I would add that to your list of good places for economic growth, driven by infrastructure demand, even with all the geopolitical challenge that comes with the region.
I'm glad you spoke about the Middle East, because I was going to ask you this question. The whole geopolitical challenge that the world has seen, communal tension across the border in France, the rise of ISIS, businesses aren't really prepared for an uncertainty like this. How difficult is it to maneuver in this new global context?
Well, you simply have to be prepared for uncertainty. So if you think about last year at this time, when you and I spoke, we weren't talking about ISIS.
That's right.
We weren't talking about the Ukraine and Russia's involvement there. And those dominated the agenda in many respects for a big part of 2014. And I suspect next year there'll be 2 or 3 new things on the list that we'll be talking about. We have to learn to operate in that environment. So one of the advantages we have, we're active in 170 countries, is we expect that on any given day, 10 of them are going to be in the headlines for the wrong reasons.
That's right.
And you know, that's just the world that we're going to live in. We still have to deliver results for our customers and our shareholders.
Fair point indeed. Let's just finish the good story before we move on to some of the tension points in the world. Like you say, that in the Middle East region, or India for that matter, or the US, which are the sectors that you're betting on will be the leaders in the story for revival?
Well, we think it's important for some of the big infrastructure projects to move forward. I think that would be a great signal outside of India that the new government is ready to move forward and take actions. You and I have talked in the past about rail modernization. That's very important to us. Whether that's one of the projects or not, it matters to us, but it doesn't matter in total. There needs to be progress that external investors can say, yep, India's open for business, they're ready to move forward, and we want to invest.
I want to ask you the other question on India. It's been in the news for all the right reasons. It's making the right noises. How much of the reality has really changed on the ground for corporations like yourselves and, of course, for smaller businesses?
I think it's starting to change. As you know, the BJP, not only at the federal level, at the state level, excuse me, has had good success, and I think that's going to help coalesce things around movement. So I think it will change, but big infrastructure has to move forward to be part of that change. The other thing is I think the government could take advantage of the low oil prices to start reducing to reduce subsidies so that gets taken off the table. You know, as oil prices, as they inevitably will, start to increase.
I'm going to speak about oil and how that has changed business in this new global context in a while from now. But I have one more question on India, and that is, of course, the right noises that the government has made around liberalization of FDI across sectors, be it defense, be it insurance. Some of these sectors are open for business. What kind of a role do you expect GE to play, say, as far as defense is concerned?
Well, we want to play an active role. We're interested in localizing some of our activities. We're an important provider for military and jet engine technology and helicopters, and so we expect to be able to do more there as soon as the government decides what it wants companies like us to do.
I have a question to ask you on the elephant in the room that everybody seems to be worried about or is losing some sleep over, and that's, of course, China. You say even with a 7 to 6% growth, it is still not growing so badly as the rest of the world believes. How concerned are you about soft landing or hard landing, whatever you call, in China?
Well,
And what does this really do to global commodity prices, and Australia for that matter, emerging markets?
I think China's growth at 7%, is responsible. People have been predicting a hard landing in China for a long time.
Yes.
It hasn't happened. I've always been of the view that the Chinese leadership is really quite competent at managing their economy. And I believe that the soft landing is what we're seeing, and I think that it will continue to be that for a while. As a consumer of global goods, China is an important market, and there's no question over time their demand for raw materials will come back, and that will lead to higher prices at some point.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow, and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.